So most people have ridden a bicycle at some point in their life, and at one point in time, cycling was the second biggest sport in the world, losing only to soccer. Now I thought I would change things up a bit since it's Christmas and do something a little bit more lighthearted and fun. Let's discuss my top 5 celebrities that also love cycling.
Morning, Governor.
Please, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, support the channel in that way. It helps tremendously. The prerequisites for the list are really only 2. 1, they have to have celebrity status, whatever kind of gauge you want to use for that. These are just my top 5. And 2, they have to love cycling. Now, this again is all just my opinion, and if you have anybody that you would like to recommend, please comment below. The first person on this list is a little bit of a cheat, and I put him first simply because he likes cycling probably the least amount compared to the others on this list. This guy is famous for credit card commercials, being the spokesperson for the General. He is an accomplished actor, and I think he even played a little basketball at one point. We are talking about Shaquille O'Neal. So this one is a little bit of a stretch for this list, pun intended, but I had to include Shaq solely because of his sheer size. He is 7'1", weighing 324 pounds, and he still finds a way to enjoy cycling. I've known plenty of big dudes who simply don't ride a bicycle because they don't think that there is a bicycle made for them. Shaq has always had to have custom-made bikes for him and is a big purchaser of the Dirty Sixers brand, a brand you have probably never heard of unless you are a giant, simply because that's who the brand caters to. A lot of athletes in general use a bike as their preferred method of cardio because it is a great low-impact way to increase your aerobic abilities, especially for a sport like basketball where you will be running a lot and knee injuries seem to be a common ailment. I'm sure Shaq rode a bike during his professional athlete days and has since kept bikes in his stable for the same reason. The coolest bike, in my opinion, that Shaq owns is one that he just recently received this last September. His neighbor witnessed him riding one of his older bikes around the neighborhood and noticed just how run down the bike was. The neighbor said, "Shaq, let me make you a custom mountain bike." Who is this neighbor, you might ask? It is none other than the owner of Thompson. If you are into cycling, you know who Thompson is. They make some great components, so needless to say, the big guy now has a flippin' awesome looking mountain bike. I mean, look at this thing. Look at the fork. The fork looks essentially like it is a downhill, rigid fork. It is an awesome bike. Number 4. Next on the list, we have one of my favorite motorcycle racers, Guy Martin. Guy is a British motorcycle racer turned TV show presenter. What makes him special to me is the style of racing he is known for, which is the infamous Isle of Man TT, one of the most dangerous sporting events in the world, and also, he was a lorry mechanic. He has an interesting personality if you can understand him at all. When I first saw Guy, it was almost kind of like listening to Boomhauer talk. Like, you kind of really have to focus on it. He's got a thick accent and he talks really fast. He's gotten a lot better, especially as a TV show presenter. That has kind of helped him slow down a little bit. But he's nuts.
That was bloody hard work. It was hard work coming up in the van.
I really resonated with Guy because he was literally a grease monkey through the week that just loved to race his bike on the weekends. Politics, world events, nothing seemed to matter to Guy if it wasn't affecting his racing. And
I've been telling everyone, like I don't force it down people's neck, but I am just a normal lad that goes about his normal day's work and just happens to go race a motorbike at the weekend. And that's as dead simple, that's as simple as it is. There is no E equals MC squared.
And even after, if he wasn't racing, you could find him doing all sorts of dumb land speed record attempts. Like, this dude's kind of crazy. Guy also loves mountain bikes. A lot of motorcycle racers use cycling as cross-training, but Guy took this to another level and became a cyclist, an athlete in the sport. He has successfully completed in just about every form of mountain biking. After only 2 years of training, he raced the Salzkammergut Trophy. I hope I'm pronouncing that even remotely correct. But that is a marathon mountain bike race in Austria where he completed the race in 14 hours, 40 minutes. He got on the podium at a downhill event in Fort William, Scotland in 2013, and then in 2014 and 15, he did 24-hour mountain bike races where he finished second both times in the solo male category in the Strathpuffer 24-hour mountain bike race. Hope I'm pronouncing that one correctly. His biggest achievement, in my opinion, is when he completed the Tour Divide in the United States, which runs from Canada to New Mexico. It is completely self-supported, and he finished with an impressive time of 18 days, 6 hours, and 23 minutes. As far as the most accomplished cyclist on this list, I'm thinking I'm gonna just have to give that award to Guy here. Number 3. Moving along, the next person on this list needs no introduction. He is none other than 53-year-old actor Matt Damon.
Matt Damon! Matt Damon! Matt Damon!
Jason Bourne has a little-known older brother who goes by the name of Kyle. Kyle here is an avid cyclist and has completed numerous full Ironmans. Matt was in Cape Town, South Africa for the filming of Invictus, where he played rugby captain Francois Pignard. The day before filming started, the annual Cape Argus tour was set to take place, and Matt wanted to complete the event as a benefit for Pignard's Make a Difference Foundation, MAD for short. Since Matt has never completed a single bike event, he called up his brother and asked him to ride a tandem with him to safely navigate through the 30,000 other cyclists and to help him complete his first 109-kilometer event. Kyle said the morning of the event, Matt was literally practicing clipping in and out of his pedals. Something in my opinion that should have been done well in advance of a bike ride. I'll leave a link to Kyle's recollection of the event, but it is every bit as epic as one would expect from a guy like Matt Damon. The wind gusts on the day were over 45 miles an hour and people were crashing left and right. The film producers were trying to talk Matt out of doing the event at all since they were starting to film the following day, but Matt wanted to complete this event. They set off on their journey, broke a chain, got stuck in the big ring, had film producers begging him to get in the car and stop this nonsense, and he freaking pressed on to finish the event. As Kyle said, Matt may not ever love cycling like I do, but he has seen the dark side of the sport and wouldn't quit, which earned him a place on my list. Matt continues to ride bikes to this day, just on a smaller scale.
Windy at first, we had a bunch of bike problems, so we were on the side of the road quite a bit, but it's nice to finish. It was beautiful.
Number 2. Next on the list surprises some people unless they have really been into the birthplace or history of mountain biking. We're talking about Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar, a rock star who gained prominence in the 80s for his solo career and then later going on to replace David Lee Roth as the lead singer of the world-renowned Van Halen. Around the same time Hagar was growing in popularity, there was a new technology doing the same exact thing, the mountain bike. If you haven't seen some of my historical videos on mountain biking, you can get caught up by clicking here, or maybe it's over there. There's gonna be something in one of these corners. Sammy was a huge fan of the underground sport of mountain biking, which led him to become a bike shop owner himself with Sausalito Cyclery, going on to become one of the best bike shops in California. Where his story gets interesting is when Sammy decided to make his own bicycle called the Red Rocker, which is his nickname. At the time, most all bicycles had silver components and Hagar wanted to change that up. He went to none other than Gary Fisher and asked him to produce a mountain bike that had a completely red frame with all the components being black, and thus the Red Rocker was born. Actually, these things are worth a bit of money, so if you see one out in the wild and it's cheap enough, buy it. Now, where the story gets interesting is when Specialized came out with the Rock Hopper that was all red with black components. That sounds awfully familiar. Now, Sammy kept complaining that Specialized was stealing his ideas, and I've always heard rumors but never found proof of what went down. But I have seen statements from Sammy expressing his disdain for Specialized, how he hates the bike industry, and how he will never be involved with it again. Soon after this debacle, he sold the bike shop, stopped making the Red Rocker, and got out of the industry as a whole. What went down is a giant mystery, and I would love to know the truth. If you understand how sue-happy Specialized was at that time, this is completely all speculation on my part, but I could see that it wouldn't be a stretch to think that they threatened to sue Sammy for having the same color bike that they did. I had to put Sammy on the list at number 2 simply because he was way more involved in the industry than most other celebrities. But even though he now has a hatred for the industry, he still loves a bicycle. Number 1. The next celebrity we are going to talk about needs very little introduction, but he was by far the biggest fan of cycling the sport, owning more than 60 collectible bicycles and loving to spend every second he could afford to lose on a bike. It is none other than Oscar winner Robin Williams. Williams got his start in the cycling world like so many others. He was a runner in high school, and by the time he was 35, his body couldn't keep up with the workload that he was trying to impose on it. His knees, his back, ankles were always sore, and so he bought his first road bike and was immediately hooked. He witnessed his first event at the infamous Coors Classic and became a super fan when Greg LeMond won the Tour de France in 1986. To say that Robin was a fan of cycling is an understatement. He was a super fan. Robin would make sure that he had time to ride worked into his contract when filming, which seriously made producers uneasy, seeing their star actor slap on some spandex and go play in traffic. And he loved the Tour de France and pro cycling almost more than he loved acting, and quickly befriended some of cycling's most prolific winners of the time, including Lance Armstrong. And I kind of feel bad for Robin, because he thoroughly believed that Lance was innocent. He believed that Lance never cheated, and he defended his friend until the bitter end. Ultimately, when Lance came clean, Robin stated that he had felt severely betrayed by him. I don't know Lance Armstrong on a personal level, but knowing all the stuff that he did to try to keep his status as the best cyclist to have ever lived, he lied a lot and he sued a lot of people, he hurt a lot of people. I can only imagine behind closed doors that he was telling Robin, dude, I'm completely clean and this is all kosher. As we all know, Robin Williams' story ends in tragedy. They had to put him on the list simply because of his immense love of the two-wheeled machine. So there you have it. I came up with the list kind of off the top of my head. I figured if this was going to be my top 5 celebrities that also loved cycling, it needed to be the first 5 that came to mind. Those were the first 5. If you guys have any that you know of or that you would recommend, please leave a comment below. Who do you think is the biggest cycling fan that's also got a little bit of prominence, a little bit of celebrity status? Anyway, hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. I probably won't see you until after. It might even be the new year. Who knows? But we'll see you soon. Love you all. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.